Hey guys, Keith and Jesse back again here at ProNoobRC, sitting at the workbench again. Last time we were working on, we started working on the shock. Jesse will just edit that in, I'm sure. Next thing I want to get into, the shocks. Now, I know you guys are talking, you hear me say droop. A lot of time, you know, it's an old term, not really an old term, but it's just old way of doing things. I don't really know if too many people are doing it. The TRX4 does have portals, but she is carrying a bit more weight up on the frame. It's got a low center of gravity. There is other kits out there, obviously, with a lower center of gravity than the TRX4. That's one thing we're trying to do. So with a droop, you're basically going to be running without the spring supplied. We can get rid of the spring ride height adjuster. A lot of people think this guy here sets the strength of, oh, actually that's gonna have to go off the top, I think. Sets the strength of like jumping your truck and all that stuff. It does not. This just adjusts the ride height. The spring is what sets your spring rates. If your truck's too soft, you need a heavier spring. Adjusting this and jamming crap in between this and your spring is not the right way to get it done. You're just pushing your ride height up higher, 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 tightening the spring down. It's still going to move just the same. So, okay, well, we're going through that after we open them up, drain them out, clean them, and kind of figure out the route we want to go. Basically, a droop shock runs sitting on the truck, almost fully collapsed. Some guys go fully collapsed, but I like to put a small spring on the shaft, just give it a little bit of ride, or even a piece of fuel tube, just anything just down there. Just give it a little bit of ride. Spring works nice because it gives a little bit of action. And then you're running a spring on the inside between the top shock piston and the bottom shock cap or retainer. So when the truck goes over something and it drops the wheel down, it compresses the spring in here, which makes us want to pull back up. Which, as you can see, is going to bring us down almost a full inch on our center of gravity. Which should do like leaps and bounds for this rig. We're going to run one limiting strap in the middle of the axle, so the front axle can't fully drop out, but we're going to leave the sides so they articulate down. I've done it on a few other rigs, it's worked out well. And if we're happy with it, it's one screw to take out the limiting strap and let it go. We're going to also measure the articulation. I don't like too much articulation. I can run just as well with a truck that has almost zero articulation versus one that has too much. Actually, probably better with one that has zero. It's more predictable. When you're running a truck with massive articulation, it gets into some really stupid spots, and you got like one front tire like underneath the other, you know, underneath the axle. It's just stupid. You know, and we've learned this with years of building trucks with 45 degrees angle and going out and trying them, and they absolutely just suck. So yeah, we're gonna take a fiver here, just gonna pause the camera, go get a couple things, get set up on doing these. We're gonna go find a couple pens. Pen springs work really good. We just got to play with them though, figure out the right one. Every pen's got a different spring, so we're gonna try those out. If those don't work, we can hit up our local electronics shop here. They have a whole bunch of just springs and kit building stuff for Arduino kits. So they got tons of stuff like that. So yeah, we'll be right back in 2 minutes. So we set up, we'll get this done. But talking about going full droop. Is your TRX4 shock, really nice. Threaded aluminum body, nice fat shaft on it, really decent. Revo rod ends, of course, nice steel Hyman joints, we call them? Sure. Hyman joints. Jesse calls them, no. So, first thing you want to do, they make a proper tool for this to grab your shock shaft. I don't have that one proper tool. I grab it right at the bottom because you don't want this tearing up your threads, and like we discussed earlier, we're going to put a small spring on the bottom so it actually can't collapse down past this point. Lock it down, pull your rod end off the bottom. Sorry, it's cold in the basement.
The pool was cold.
Okay, so shock parts in there. Crack this guy open. We're gonna want it. Dump this out. You don't want to grab these threads of this body with pliers. You don't have to. You can actually tweak it, warp it, and then your shock will look like garbage. So these come with, yeah, no, they're full. They come nice and full from Traxxas. Beautiful. So we're just going to dump that out right now. Okay, maybe that had a lot less in than I thought. Yeah, so those had a very liberal amount, but once again, mass production. They're in a hurry. They got to get these kits out. So a lot of people push this through the bottom. There's O-rings in this little guy. You're gonna want to crack that guy loose. Just take the pressure off because there's an O-ring, a spacer, an O-ring. You tighten it, it squishes the O-rings to grab the shaft. So loosen that off. You don't have to take it right out, and then you'll notice the shaft moves way nicer. Push that through. Make sure we're not, damaging the O-rings there. We don't want leaky shocks. That's for rookies. There we go. Sorry. So this is your shock shaft, piston, E-clip on the end. You see the little cuts in the side? See the high spots, low spots? I'm not getting focus. That's for the oil to pass through. The high spots touch the outside of the body, and the holes allow the oil to pass back and forth. The purpose of the shock is to counterbalance what a spring does. Spring wants to bounce, shock doesn't want to bounce. Put them together, you got suspension. If anybody's ever driven or seen a car heading down Highway 59, back end swinging away, usually they desperate need of shocks. We see that a lot living out here in the country. Lots of country miles beat the crap out of cars. So there it is. So that's fine. We're leaving that. That's good to go. Now, shameless plug to a place I used to work. We got bags of these pens. So what I'm gonna do, take the spring, kind of figure out the height that I'm gonna want it to ride at with the valve body and the cap. That fits really nice, actually. No complaints there. So that's that. Now, once again, back to the ride height thing. If I want to sit higher, I can just stretch the spring. It's not going to change the energy the spring has in it. That's the thickness of the spring that does that. Pretty sure it's a thickness. I could be wrong. Jesse will look it up and let us know. So, this hasn't been cleaned or nothing. I'm going to go through and clean it after. Just want to test fit everything to make sure I'm kind of happy with what we're doing here. So I was not going to tighten that up fully. So that's what we're dealing with now. So as you remember, the other shock, let's get another bone stalker out there. Try to get dirt nowhere. That's the length you're sitting at. That's the length we're going to be sitting at, plus the rod end. So almost a full inch. Let's just call it a full inch. But we're in Canada, so 25.6 millimeters, whatever it is. Sorry guys, got a runny nose. Damn basement. So that works nice. That spring actually has pretty good pull. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that. Now mind you, if you've pulled it out and you stretch that ride height, you're going to want to pull it down a few times. Just make sure it doesn't completely stretch back up on itself. It shouldn't. It should just compress. There's room. Yeah, so pretty happy with that right there, actually. Now we're going to on the bottom. We're going to add another small spring. I just need to source where I'm going to pick that up from right now. but should be another pen around here I can steal. We'll cut that down, or we'll use a piece of fuel line. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do with all 4 of our shocks. Get them set to that, so we'll have a new overall length of 75 mil instead of 90 or whatever that is overall. These guys are 90 eye to eye. Screen's off. Read it manually. This guy, yeah, we're not going to be able to put them together real quick. We can get a measurement on that. So the idea here is we're trying to keep our center of gravity low. We want to just hump and slide over the rocks. Not a crazy amount of articulation either. That doesn't get you anywhere. Runs into trouble. Remember, just grab that bottom of that shaft right there so you're not damaging the part that goes up inside. We're still going to run oil. Some guys do droop with no oil. And I like to go, that oil we took out was, I don't know, 20 or 30 or 5 or something. We're going to run like, seeing how she rides, might run 1,000 weight, see how that goes. I like a real slow flow to it. Might be too heavy because these feel actually like a really nice shock. But what we've done in the past with crappier old kits is even run diff oil, diff silicone oil, 3,000 weight oil. See that bubble move in there? So you can imagine how slow your shock would travel in there. And the idea is you want a predictable truck. You want to be able to go over an edge and hang that front tire over a gap and know that that's how your truck performs, and it gives you that cutting edge over other guys. Some guys would probably look at this and be like, well, that's silly, but once you see the truck perform, completely different. So this is not a scale build, remember. So it doesn't need to ride, have that nice flow to the suspension. It just needs to get the job done that we're building to do. So we're running full body. I don't know what classes they call them. I got to look into that. We don't have many comps done around here. We used to, but they were just strictly competition style crawlers, more of your 2.2. Jesse, pass me Stumpy there off the wall. This is going way back. You guys have probably, half you probably never even seen a truck this old, but it's your old Axial AX10, the Axial Bender SWX chassis, the old Novak Goat brushless, Axial behind the axle steering setup, Comp Illegal lossy Comp Claw tires. These things are just ridiculous what you can climb. Super old truck. Lossy shocks, lossy white springs, too much articulation for where I'm at now. Even this one though, I was doing things like running the shocks laid down, trying to get little travels I could out of it, trying to get it my way. But great truck, but outdated, not the type of crawling we do anymore. Everything's gone trail, scale, super scale, concourse, I think they call it, Jess. Yeah, concourse style trucks. I know, like, that's probably my last competition crawler, and it's been hanging on the wall and needing an ESC for years. It's more of just a display thing. So I'm gonna go pillage some more pens and get some more springs so we can set up for those. I need to find something for the bottom. Now, obviously we're not using the retainer, and we're not using the spring. Yeah, I'll give me a few minutes, I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. Fortunately, I've only got 2 of the matching pen. But we've done this enough to know most pens have the same guts. Pen from my crappy accountant. Hopefully you don't see the name on there. You won't recommend them to anybody. Jesse, want to hear that again?
Yep.
Shitty accountants. Oh, I forgot to file your GST last year. You owe 25 grand. Thank you. Okay, so I was lying. Apparently, all the springs that I have and all the pens I have are completely different. So it's a huge pen. Like, why does somebody need such a big pen? Yeah, well, that's not the way in. Okay, so we know this spring is the same as the one out of the front. Just stretch it out to match. These two we know match. They're actually a lighter spring rate than the other, which would be perfect for the rear. So these other guys are going to be our limiting retainers, or I don't know what you want to call them, but they're going to go on the bottom and they're going to stop the travel or just give us a little bit of a cushion so we're not riding completely bottomed out. It's not going to hurt the shock to ride complete bottomed out. Could use fuel tube, but we're just in it for the what would you say? Scale, nope, comp aspect. Sorry guys, just thinking. Okay, number 2. So just checking on the status on the camera. I'm running out of batteries, so I'm gonna get these 4 done off camera and show you guys. I'll make a small thing where I'm going to mark them for the rear. I'll put a small R on both of them, scribe it in, because you put a marker, it's going to come off. And the front, I'll mark for the front. Simple enough. Let me just get back to this fella here with his limiting spring. Yeah, that's enough pull, lift, axle. Sorry, I have 4 dogs. They get a little excited sometimes. So, I cut a little chunk of this off. I'll get this out here first. I'm setting it that way. The one side that has the finished end, I'm going to put that towards the top. Or am I? You know what? No, I'm going to put the cut end towards the top. It's not going to dig into the O-ring. But it will also not be able to spread far enough to get pushed off or stretched over like that rod end. So remember, this mod costs just parts found in your home office. If you don't have one, you just go to work, check everybody else's drawers for pens with springy things and take them, right, Jess?
Yes.
Because who the hell needs all those? Oh, it's exactly what I wanted. A little bit of spring on the bottom, and spring outside. Whoop. Pulls it back down. Whoop. So that would be your typical droop spring. Pull the weight down, let it sit low, and you know, it's not going to carry axle on its own, but if we put a heavy enough fluid in there and it slowly comes out of everything, it's fine when you're moving through a comp course because you're going methodically and slow and thinking about 10 steps ahead. You're not just hammered down, so you don't got to worry about bouncing. Well, even suspension, I got some rigs that have no up down travel in the suspension. The rear diff literally sits right on the cross member, but they articulate just enough and they work so well. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do, times 4. There's no point repeating this, times 4. Once they're all done, we'll show you them front and back. We'll do some testing. We got to kind of get the truck back together, get some weight on it, get the axle weights in, get our brass in by Metal Fab by Reed, give him a call later tonight, get some parts in order. Good people at Eliminator already have some brass coming for me, but they don't. Right now, Metal Fab by Reed is the only one I think making the big C hubs that I like. They're the heaviest and the most robust looking. I have one on my other TRX4. I painted all black, sand it down, paint it black because I don't like the look of the brass underneath the truck. That's kind of scale. So yeah, so we'll go with that. I did for it to take this off, I had the top off, but there's no oil in it, and this is just test. We will test them with no oil because once you put the oil in it, then it really changes things. We're just going to be lifting the truck and seeing if the shock just drops right to the bottom. We know it's not enough. We'll deal with a heavier spring. And also with the weight down. We know it's going to sit pretty much rate compressed, but it's just going to squish that flat, but whatever. I like the look of it. It's just something to be a little different. And yeah, we'll get back to you guys tomorrow. We're going to have rim build going on tomorrow. Jesse's just off camera cleaning up a set of methods that I remember when we first started the build. I'm not a fan of the 8 holes. They look good, but it looks much better. We went over to Eliminator today, picked up some Pitbull Rock Beast XL 1.9s with foams and alien compound. Once again, we're in Canada, so there's no point posting prices because it's a lot worse than you guys can imagine. They're not friendly. It's not friendly. They even cross out cheap shipping options on most companies for us too. It kind of sucks. Everybody gets flat rate shipping, and then when it comes to Canada, it's called. So yeah, these are the VPS 05133. Oh, you can get a batch number. OMF 1.9 beadlock. I thought they were called the Holy Rollers. That just may be what I called them because that's just me, but they look really good when they're paired together on a blackface rim. The beauty is when we were at the shop today, Jesse and I took a trip down there. Didn't matter. They had 3 different colors: silver, blue, or red. 3 different styles, mind you. I was a sucker for black and red, so I jumped on that. But it's nice when you're doing a build ground up and you can literally start at the rocker ring and then worry about your colors as you build yourself up, if you're worried about colors. Yeah, so we'll get back to those tomorrow. I'm sure everybody's seen 1,000 of these builds, so we'll just do a quick glance over on that. A couple tricks, what we use. You got that little can. Yeah, we'll get into that tomorrow. Show you some tricks on how to hold your rim with a small little tube. You can pull the rubber down around it, really set the bead lock in place and crank it down. But yeah, we'll touch base tomorrow, guys. Have a good night. Bye.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the little bell icon. And stay tuned for part 4.